of truth when I see wrongdoers doing wrong things. And I think that me as the same person, I should be standing up for truth. And that means saying that the earth is round and it's not flat. And it would be a logical fallacy to claim that the earth is flat.
How would that be a logical fallacy?
It contradicts science.
Really? So you believe that science proves the shape of the Earth?
Yes,
How's that? I didn't know science dealt with shapes. I thought that was geometry and measurements.
geometry is part of science.
No, geometry can be used in science, but is not science. We can
It's
use measurements, all sorts of things in science, but it's
defined in
not
science.
science. There's a difference between maths, geometry, etc., and science.
Define science.
What did he say the logical fallacy was, AJ?
He said that
That we committed? Or
we committed a logical fallacy because flat Earth would be a logical fallacy
You haven't defined
gotcha.
what
because of
science is.
science. Yeah, hang on. I'll define science for you with citation if you like.
Sure. He's gonna read it out of ChatGPT, bro.
No, I'm not going to read it out of ChatGPT. I just said that I was going to directly cite it for you. Do you understand what a citation is?
Yes.
Very good. So keep your comments to yourself.
I'm still waiting for you to give me the definition. Can you give me the definition?
Yeah, no worries. So we're talking about natural science, which is the intellectual and practical activity of encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observation and experiment.
Okay. So,
From Oxford Languages. What are the steps in the scientific method?
it depends on the scientific method. Different scientists
Natural,
have different
natural,
scientific methods.
we have natural science is in the discussion, and what is the scientific method that we would be
Who
using
defined the scientific?
when
Can
we
you
would
tell
be
me who
using
defined?
when we will be using natural science?
You need to realize that you can talk of science when you are literally claiming that the earth is flat. That goes against
You
science.
understand that science does not dictate shapes. That would be geometry or direct
No,
measurements.
it does. It's observation. And you have read it in the definition. Science is observation.
Do we observe maths? Do we?
Now, now, now you can use geometry to come
And
out to a conclusion.
once we make that observation, then what do we do with that observation?
We can come to the conclusion that the earth is round.
No, we would then conduct an experiment, yeah, to see if we have a cause and effect relationship. Yeah.
Exactly. And
So
that
natural
experiment,
science deals with cause and effect relationships, not geometry.
all right.
Science is not going to prove the Earth to be a globe.
All right. I
Okay,
have
I
one
think I
question.
think you guys are going about this wrong. You cannot prove anything with science. All you can do is disprove the null hypothesis. So let's start off there, because I think we don't want to get ahead of ourselves before we draw the basis there.
Well, we can go
What
through that
axiom do
shortly.
you guys want to
Hang on.
start with?
We can go through that shortly. However, what I'm trying to make Snackwez understand that you may be able to help him out with is that geometry is not science. It can be, or mathematics is not science. It can be used within science, but it is not science.
I know that.
We have to establish that fact first.
You're getting kind of pedantic, though, dude. Come on now.
No, I'm not being
But we,
pedantic. We're going to actually stick to what things mean. Yeah.
but we're not disagreeing on that. I do realize the fact that science in itself is not math or geometric. These tools can be used within science to prove an experiment or an observation. So you're debating with yourself because we're not in a
No,
disagreement.
I'm not. Once
Yeah.
we have an observation, yeah, we have to follow the scientific method. Once we have an observation, we ask a few questions, and then we ask the question, why did we see that occurring?
But how
Then
is this
we
relevant
formulate a
to
hypothesis. Then we formulate a hypothesis to explain the phenomena that we just seen. Yeah. We then use
but
that hypothesis to predict the existence of the other phenomena. So, can you please explain what scientific experimentation has been done after our observations to show the shape of the Earth?
one easy example could be putting a stick. You put a stick, and then as the sun turns around, as the earth turns like around the sun, you see that um, the shade of the stick changes. So if it was dead flat, you wouldn't see a change, but you can see a change, which means that the only explanation is that the earth is round. But let me ask you this question
Well,
very
what
quickly.
you've just stated first, let me address what you've just said, because what you've said is incorrect. Yeah. We all witness the sun moving overhead. Now, whether that stick creates an angle of a shadow and that shadow changes is going to depend on the angle that the light is hitting that stick. Yeah. Now, this can happen on a flat surface or this can happen on a round surface. Now, what you're actually talking about is Eratosthenes, and Eratosthenes was not trying to prove the Earth was a globe. Yeah. He already had the belief that the Earth was a globe, and what he wanted to know was if the Earth was a globe, how big would it be? So he was trying to gain a circumference. Now, what he did was he took some angle measurements, apparently, made a calculation, and calculated that if the Earth was round, this is how big it would be. So sticks and shadows in themselves do not prove that whether the surface is round or flat. I would actually say it does. I'd say it probably says it's flat, yeah, because you're measuring an angle. You need two straight lines for that. But regardless, it's a calculation based on a belief is not measuring the Earth to be curving.
Do you think that the moon is flat?
I don't think anything about the moon. I see the moon exactly like everybody else. I look up and I see a
So,
round light in the sky.
so when you
What does
see it,
that have to do with the surface of the Earth?
no. I'm just curious. Maybe you think it's flat. So let me ask you again. Do you think that the moon is round or flat?
He just described it as round.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
He
it's
just told you.
But
do you
from
think
where
that
I'm sitting, I can't see whether that's a sphere. I can't see whether that's flat. Even if I look through a telescope, I can't do that. Yeah. So all I see is a light in the sky. Sometimes it's circular. It's a full moon, right? And other times we just see a half moon, a slither of a moon, etc. What I like to talk about is things that can be empirically proven with evidence, yeah, not just assumptions. So things like direct measurements of the ground, not
Well,
So
assumptions
I
based
have
on
that's actually
something we
a great
see in the
point.
sky.
You can actually do that with the moon, though. No?
You can measure it. What?
You can measure
You,
the
you,
ground
you,
by looking at the moon. Please explain.
No, I'm talking about. I think it's actually a good point in bringing up. You guys want to talk about flat Earth, blah blah blah, whatever, right? But yeah, let's talk about the moon. And to be fair,
It's
it's
a
only
flat
fair
Earth
for us to
room,
be able
yes.
to ask about your conception of the moon as well, because I don't know what you might think. You say you observe it to be round. Sure, I also observe it to be round, but we can actually do some deduction to say it's may even be spherical by doing measurements. And so you talked about geometry before. Think about this. If the moon is indeed flat, and so it's circular, and we're just seeing it in a circular sense, right? In a round sense, then if you were to basically draw a line from where we are to any point on the moon, we would be able to take measurements of that line and we'd be able to deduce from those measurements whether or not it is flat or it is curved. Is that fair to say from a geometric perspective?
I would say
yeah.
no.
Oh, you can't do that? You can't figure that out? How come?
I mean, we can. I think we can.
We,
If
Well,
can
well,
you
Snakes,
let's
Yeah, I
I
ain't a
agree with
flat
you,
just
earther.
but
repeat
we're not
again?
asking you right
Sorry,
now.
just repeat again what you said, yeah, just so that I've got it clearly.
Sure. So think about it like this. Let's pretend we don't know whether the moon is a sphere or it is indeed flat, actually. It's a circle. And so what we can do is we can be a little bit scientific about this and say, what tests can we do to prove or really actually disprove a null hypothesis? What I'm trying to get across to you is if you are stationary on Earth and let's say we point a laser pointer at the moon, we can measure actually the distance that that laser pointer is traveling before it hits the moon. And so if we then measure different points on the surface of the moon, we can determine whether or not, from our perspective, if the moon's surface area is flat with respect to us, or actually if it has curvature based on the distance that that light travels. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah, that makes sense. At least to me, it does make sense. Yeah,
And no, yeah. So I'm talking to AJ though. I just want to make sure we're on the same page because he seemed to be a little confused before.
yeah.
Look, I understand what you're saying because we do have a claim out there that the Apollo astronauts left some reflectors on the moon and that we can shine these lasers and reflect them off these reflectors and we can have a look at the speed of light, yeah, and then we can gain a distance, etc.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, I'm so glad. I thought you might not have known about that, and I figured you definitely never tried it if you didn't know, right? But so you do know. So you've tried it then. You've pointed a laser pointer up at the moon and had it reflect back. You've hit one of those reflectors.
No, I have not.
Well, to be fair, it's a little bit difficult, and you need some quite precise equipment. You need a telescope to do so. But do you know if it's been done, or would you believe it if I told you that it's been done?
I would disagree that you would know that it's bouncing off the moon.
And so why is that? I'm trying to gauge where the disconnect is, because if I told you you have a laser pointer and you have a mirror right in front of you, you bounce the laser pointer off the mirror, that makes sense. We can see that right happening. But now put the mirror really far away, let's say 10 miles away. You can't really see a mirror that's 10 miles away, but it's still there, right? If you point a laser pointer at that mirror 10 miles away, the laser pointer actually should still do the same thing, hit the mirror and bounce right back to you. And so why don't we put a mirror on the moon? That's much further than 10 miles away. So still, we're at that point where we can't really see it, but we have to have a little bit of understanding of object permanence, right? In that just because you can't see something necessarily doesn't mean it's not there anymore, right?
Why do you need a
Well,
mirror to
first
determine the
of all,
distance?
You actually don't need a mirror, but to be quite frank, it helps a lot with the measurements to have a mirror.
Because if the light is traveling from the Earth
Yeah, but
to the moon,
snakes. I think we're on the same page here. We want to get everyone else on the same page. So, not to. I don't want to shut you up or
no,
anything.
no,
I just want to make
yeah,
sure.
listen, I already said I agree with you, but I want to understand how could you
Sure.
determine the distance that
So,
is being
so
traveled
do,
from
do
the
you know?
Earth to the
Have you
moon?
heard of like a radar gun that police use to see how fast you're going?
Yes.
What they're actually doing is they're measuring the change in position over time, because change in position over time is actually speed. And so what they're doing is they're measuring your distance from their laser gun at one point in time, and then they measure your distance from the laser gun at another point in time. And you can use some cool mathematics to figure out
all right.
the
Let
actual
me.
speed.
Okay.
Sorry.
So
Yeah.
Okay.
so let me answer your questions. Yeah. All right.
Sure,
So,
AJ. Glad you had some time to think.
well, actually, no. You ran off on a conversation with somebody else. All right. So the first issue: reflectors required on the moon. Yeah. So there were no moon landings. So there are no reflectors on the moon. That's an issue, right? Secondly, it relies on the constant speed of light. It requires accurate timing. It requires the correct atmospheric conditions. Like I said, you don't know what you're actually hitting and what that light is bouncing back off. So they're the issues that I see with it.
So that's all well and good, and I'm so glad that you're a skeptic because I think we need more skeptics in the world. That said, I guess I'm curious to the people who have shined a light on the moon, this very powerful laser pointer, and detected it bouncing off of a mirror. What's going on there? Is there a different phenomena that we're unaware of, or I guess I want to be a little bit straightforward with you that you can't use Occam's razor for everything, but at a certain point,
They were
we
bouncing it off the moon before they even went on the moon landing.
So the claim is,
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, are
they
you aware
claim to have
what?
done it before they went to the moon. Anyway,
Yeah, you got to look up the
Bouncing
first
light
time they
off
did
the moon.
that.
You're saying
Yeah,
they've claimed to bounce light off the moon since before the moon landing, is what you're saying.
correct.
yes, correct.
And so I don't really think that pokes as big a hole in my argument as you think it does, because you know why we can see the moon, right?
Yeah, your claim of mirrors on the moon doesn't really matter, right?
Well,
yeah.
no, what I'm trying to get
So,
across is we can see light
all right,
bouncing
I'm
from
going
the
to ask a
sun
different
off the
question
moon.
then. Regardless of that, even if the moon, sorry, is a sphere, or if it's flat, what does that have to do with the surface of the Earth?
Of
Well,
course it does.
interesting that you say so, because think about it like this. If we can figure out whether or not the moon is flat or a sphere, why can't we do the same with Earth? Especially if we can bounce lasers off the moon to intersect with the Earth, right? It's the same geometrical problem. I understand if you don't believe that there are mirrors on the moon, we can just agree to disagree there, and we can say that you think that a lot of people who have some great, brilliant minds and great scientific equipment are just all misled in tandem, and I can say that I think they're trying their best, and I think they're at least trying. Which, I, to my knowledge, you haven't done any tests to disprove that there are mirrors on the moon. No.
No, like I
Okay.
said, I
Yeah. Then I
believe
guess
that
I don't know if that
I
takes what
believe
you
that
say at all.
space, as described, yeah, is a violation of natural laws. We haven't been to these violation this violation of natural laws. We haven't flown into space for the reflectors.
Why you
That's the
think
first
it's a
problem.
violation? Why you think it's a violation?
What is the second
Entropy
law
and
of
gas pressure.
thermodynamics?
Right? The second was you are assuming the speed of light is constant.
Okay, and I think the speed of light being constant, I think that's a interesting question. We can go off in way crazy tangents and caveats about that. But at the end of the day, I don't know if it's going to bring us much closer to the air. But
Yeah, but there's
you,
just
you
built-in
talked about
assumptions.
space,
Yeah,
though.
it's not a scientific experiment, like you said, if it just has built-in assumptions. Yeah, so if it has built-in assumptions about that light travels at the same speed in both directions, the light's not altered or significantly altered by the atmosphere or
And so under
space,
the same
and that the
argument, I could say
timing and
you have a
equipment.
built-in assumption that there's no mirrors on the moon. I just think that's an assumption you have, and I think you're gonna have to prove
No,
it
that
for me
would
to
be a
believe it.
violation. That would be a violation of natural law.
Oh, that's is natural law an assumption?
No,
Oh, why not?
it's something that we witness over and over again in reality.
Like gravity?
No.
Oh, okay. So when you like drop a pencil and it falls to the ground, and then you drop it again, like how many times do you have to drop it before you just kind of understand that it will fall to the ground?
Are
That's just
clouds gravity proof?
that's just an effect.
Effect of what?
Well, what you claim or call gravity, yeah.
Okay, well, so you said it's not
However,
gravity,
there's no.
and we don't claim it's
However,
gravity. So then what
hold
is it
on.
then?
However, again, we went through this earlier. The causation is what's in contention.
Random guy.
Well, what you claim or call gravity, yeah.
Okay, well, so you said it's not
However,
gravity,
there's no.
and we don't claim it's
However,
gravity. So then what
hold
is it
on.
then?
However, again, we went through this earlier. The causation is what's in contention.
Random guy.
The question I think here is, I claim that the Earth is round. You disagree and you claim that the Earth is
Yep.
flat. And the bottom line here is to let's actually ask experts. Let's ask people who actually know, who have equipment, who have the knowledge to determine whether the Earth is flat or round. Now, if you
That
ask
would be a
any
logical fallacy,
scientist,
buddy.
if you ask any scientist, you will surely know. They will surely tell you that the Earth is round. Why can't you name one
Correct.
scientist, just one, who
Incorrect.
claims that the Earth is flat? Just name me one.
Yeah, I think it's
Right.
maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Timbo or Toby Dog, but isn't Dr. John
Dr.
D
John
a
D.
scientist in optics
Is he still
who
alive?
went
Something along those lines. Yeah, doctorate in optics. Yep,
Is he still
that would be
alive?
your scientist.
regardless, this would just be an appeal to authority, yeah? So at the end of the day, does there can you tell me anybody who has ever directly measured the Earth to be curving, showing a drop over distance from horizontal? And how did they do it? Because if the Earth's curving, this should be something that everybody knows. Who measured it to curve and how did they do that?
Yeah, and so I'll ask you the same question. If the Earth is flat, how did they measure that, and how can you prove that? Right?
Okay, that's not a
Yep,
name.
that would be surveyors every single day. However, my question was, again, whoever measured it to be curving, how did they do
Surveyors
it?
every
What
day.
did they do?
That's a great answer. I'm going to take your answer.
Yeah.
Surveyors every day.
Well, no, they don't actually, because they measure horizontal and linear angles, and I can cite all of that for you.
Okay, so the surveyors that you're talking about that think it's flat, I think they also don't, and they're measuring the wrong angles, and I can prove that to you too.
Oh, can you?
But,
How?
but actually, you go first though, because you said
How?
it first. You said you can prove it to me, so
It's
prove
not
it
about
first.
think, it's a objective reality. It's not about think what he thinks, about what the earth is.
Anyway, Snack I was speaking with you. I asked
Yeah.
you, was there anybody that you know of who had directly measured this Earth curvature? What did they do? How did they do it?
Well, I mean, I'm sure a lot of scientists did. Am I gonna quote their work or say they did exactly that to determine the curvature? No, because I'm not an expert. I'm not a specialist. But what I can tell you for a fact is over 99% of major scientists, experts, people of knowledge, there's a consensus that the earth is round and that they determined the uh, roundness of the earth using so many methods, different methods. And they actually have the equipment, they have the knowledge, they have the resources to determine the earth is round. Now, who are you as someone who doesn't have the equipment, who probably has never done an experiment in his life, to just come out and say, I disagree with all of these scientists, I disagree with science, and I claim that the earth is flat?
Well, you just asked me for a scientist who disagreed. I just gave you one who specializes in optics. There's many others that I'm sure
Is he
disagree.
still alive? I'm asking about scientists who
Yeah,
are
he
alive
is.
today.
He is still alive. Yeah,
Can you
and
type
at
his
the end of
name
the
in the chat?
day, this is all based on your assumptions on what you believe the scientists may believe in as a majority. Yeah, this is just a weak appeal to
Yeah.
consensus.
No, I get that point. What I'm saying is when you
Please
open
post the
your
Dr.
eyes,
John D. link if they got it handy.
sorry, what?
Yeah, I don't have it.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm
In the
saying that if
chat.
99% of scientists do agree that the earth is round, these are experts, these are people of knowledge, then it,
Snake, dude, I
I would
appreciate
say,
you arguing, but
listen,
there's a lot
let
of
me just
things.
finish up.
Do you
Let
remember
me just finish.
Galileo was put on the stake because he thought that the sun actually revolved around the Earth, and he was burned as a heretic or some shit like that. Like, people can be wrong, Snake. So that, no offense, but that's not a good argument.
I mean, I'll be honest, I appreciate the fact that you're honest. You might disagree with me, but I think it's far more reasonable to look at people who has the knowledge,
Sure,
look at
but but
people who
but I
has
think
the
in
equipment.
argumentation here, Snakes, like I would like to be reasonable. I'd like to use Occam's razor, but actually, would like to have really good argumentation here, where we're thinking inductively in that people can be wrong, and actually consensus can be reached towards the wrong thing. Actually, and so I actually agree with you, Snakes. I don't think the Earth is flat, but I think just the fact that 99% of scientists think the Earth is not flat does not necessarily mean
I know,
anything.
I know, I know, but
Then
I'm
why are you
saying
arguing?
I know it doesn't prove. I know if 99% of scientists, when they agree that the Earth is round, it doesn't actually prove the Earth is round, nor does it prove that the Earth is flat. But my point is, it's more likely, it's very likely round because grounds from different. It's more likely, it's very likely that the earth is round because you have people from different backgrounds, from different races, coming up together and saying, yes, we have the equipment, we have the resources, we have the knowledge, we've been studying this for our whole entire life, and we have all we have agreed and we have determined that the earth is round. Now they might be wrong, but that's very less likely. That's the point. It's about likelihood. It's about chances. It's about percentage.
All right. I think we might
So
move across to Matzahrella. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. Sorry, Snakes.
You seem to be
I like the argumentation
jumping at the bit there, dude.
though. Sorry about that.
That's right.
oh,
So let's go back to where we were before. We're talking about lasers measuring the distance to the moon and whether the moon was spherical
Yeah,
or
but you
round.
didn't
Yeah.
really like the argumentation because we don't really care about
No,
the
no.
moon. We care about Earth, right? So let's stick on Earth.
Well,
I'm
hang
fine
on.
with that.
Yeah, that's cool. Now, your next comment was we can do the same on Earth. We could use lasers to measure the surface of the Earth, correct?
Yeah, sure.
Yep. And you're saying, why don't we do that? Well, we actually have, yeah.
I
There's
know.
hundreds and hundreds of laser tests out there that show that the Earth is not curving.
Okay. And who were they done by? Were they done by flat earthers, globers, random people, people with no bias? Was it a third party? Like, see what I'm saying?
Yes. So, they've been done by lots of random different people. The one I was going to present to you was done by FE Core. And if DJ was here, he'd have a lot more for you. DJ's kept more up to date on all of that, unless someone
Oh
else
no,
has
I
got
like
some
I
others.
like DJ. That's too bad.
Unless anyone else has got a few that they want to drop.
Yeah.
I'll drop the
I'm sure
LE
this is the
laser.
one you guys hear all the time, but you know what's his last name's Campanella or something like that? I think this is
Oh
the
yeah,
main
Jaren,
one.
yeah. Well, it
Yeah,
wasn't a
and that
laser test. Okay, so if you
yeah,
actually
that's
go
the,
back and watch what
so it's
occurred,
light. It's light. It doesn't
he
really
used
matter
a
if it's a
torch. Yeah.
laser.
Well, it does matter if it's a laser or whether it's a torch. Yeah.
No, it's electromagnetic radiation. It doesn't matter. But that's besides the point. Okay.
Okay, let's just
So
quickly
what's
hang on. If you're
yeah?
going to bring it up, we got to step
There's a
through it.
huge
Yeah,
difference in
you
a
can't just.
flashlight and a laser.
Yeah. So the issues that
Sure.
happened, the issues that occurred, and the information we don't have. Yeah. So one, the laser broke, so they decided to use a torch light. Now a torchlight beam isn't directed; it spreads out. Yeah. Secondly, they're then shining that torchlight through an aperture, through the first hole. They were holding that torch above their head, trying to hold it level. There was no tripod, there was nothing to level the torch. They were just holding it there. So if that torch is shining on an angle and it's not completely level, and then the light scattering as it goes through an aperture, there's big issues there to start with. Secondly, there's nothing. And thirdly, everyone brings this up as evidence of the Earth curving. What is it? A flat earther, the only one that's ever proven Earth curvature?
Sorry. So yeah, you cut out for the second one. Maybe that's intentional, but that's neither here nor
No,
there. The
hold on a
question.
second, dude.
Sorry. Yeah.
Hold on. What's with the meta comments, man? Like you say, I cut out during the second one. Maybe
Oh,
that's
sorry.
Maybe that's intentional. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I cut out, just ask me to clarify, and I will. Yeah. It's not intentional. Maybe it was my internet. Maybe it was yours, but I don't know what's with the comments.
Oh, you prefer to not hear my comments? Sorry, I'll minimize them.
Well, no, your comments are just bullshit, dude. Oh, you cut out on the
Oh.
second thing you said. I'm assuming that's on purpose. Why would it be on purpose?
Oh, I didn't say I'm assuming that's on purpose. Sorry, if you heard that, you must have misheard me. I think you actually said it correctly the first time. So I'm surprised that you'd put words in my mouth after you already
Oh,
quoted
whatever
me
I
properly.
said, dude.
But
Yeah. All I'm saying is we don't need the commentary. If you didn't hear something, yeah, just ask me to clarify.
okay, as I said, I'll minimize the comments. I'll tell you. You said my second point, and then you cut out completely. But you can clarify your second point if you'd like.
After all that, don't even remember what it was. But I'll give
Okay,
you.
figured. Anyway, can we continue?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. And so I understand. I actually agree with you largely that I don't think the experiment was necessarily set up the best. I mean, ironically, like it's an ironic position for me to be in, hoping that a flat earther sets up a very good experiment so that when they disprove their own hypothesis, other flat earthers will not be able to say, "Whoa, well, the experiment was set up badly," right? But do you see how there's a little bit of erosion happening here, where it's like I can come up with experiments all day that have been done, and I'm sure you can come up with a caveat or an issue with the experimentation or bias from the experimenters. And to be frank, I'm sure you can bring up a million experiments, and I can do the same to you. So then, where do we go with that? I guess is my curiosity.
Well, first of all, it's not an experiment. It's just an observation. Yeah, there was no naturally observed phenomenon. There was no hypothesis. There was no independent or dependent variable to manipulate. So it's definitely not an experiment. So what do we go on? Well, me personally, I go on direct measurements. Yeah, like I said, there has been many laser observations done. We've also got surveying, etc. We know that water at rest is flat, but I just said I'd drop in the laser test. So there's one in the chat now, 34 minutes past the hour, where there's 90 meters or 297 feet of missing curvature. In the link for the drive is what they did, the process they went through, where they've done it, the locations, etc. So you can read all of that for yourself.
Thank you so much for the documentation. I appreciate it. Yeah, and so if I look through this documentation and find that numbers don't match, or I don't agree with the experimentation or observation, whichever I guess you want to call it, do you have like, are you going to say like, oh well, you just don't agree because you don't
Well,
want to agree?
you'd have to disprove it, so because it
We have to
fits with
actually watch the videos
observation,
too.
right? Yeah, fits with
Okay,
observation as well. So.
and so that's like the interesting thing that we're kind of
Interesting that
coming to
you don't
terms with
have an
here.
observation. Yeah.
So, sorry.
Interesting that
Oh,
you don't have an
are you
observation.
practicing your own little meta commentary? I like that one. Yeah, no, that was a good one actually.
Why are you such a tosser, dude?
Sorry,
Like a
what'd you say?
fucking like a bitch. You're like a fucking bitch.
Oh no, dude, that's like the worst way you can get an
Definitely.
argument, just going to profanity. Wow, you don't have anything else?
Yeah, you are. No, I was talking and you started going into meta, so I called you a bitch. Is that right?
Oh, sorry, I just did the same thing. You did it and made a comment about your meta commentary, as you like to call it, right?
Yeah, and I said, why are you such a tosser?
Yeah, I don't really even know what a tosser is. Maybe I'm not intellectually superior like you, right?
Yeah, it's not an intellectual word, you doofus.
I know what doofus means. Thank you for clarifying. But okay, do you want to get back on track, or do you want to just name call?
Yeah,
No,
you'd have to
you're coming
find
in here like
something.
these. You're coming in here like we're just born flat earthers. Like we were all globies before, bro. We all looked into it.
Yeah.
I guess
So,
I never even
so
thought about whether
the
or not you're born flat earthers, but I'm sorry if I came across that way. I didn't mean to make you feel that way, KJ. I apologize.
the video and the data that was posted, right, fits with observation. So if you say it's not fitting with observation, you'd have to come up with a hypothesis or whatever to prove it wrong, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say not enough data.
Have you looked at the data?
Yeah, I just opened it up.
Yeah, which part?
No, I said not enough data. So I'm saying you'd
Yeah,
need more
which
data.
part
So
did you look at it? Which part did you look at?
the part that you're missing is statistical
Oh
significance.
my god.
Okay, which part? What page in the document did you look at?
Sorry. Do you know what statistical significance is?
Which page in the document did you look at? It's got not enough data.
So I'm trying to say it's missing data, and by
Yeah,
missing,
where?
I mean yeah.
What's it
So
missing?
can you find statistical significance
Yeah, what's it
within
missing?
the data?
What's it missing?
Dude, okay. So I'm gonna slow down.
Yeah,
What
what's
I'm
it missing?
trying to say. Yeah, so that's what I'm getting to. What I'm
Yeah, what's it
trying to
missing?
say. Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Maybe my
what's it
connection's
missing?
bad. You keep talking over me.
Yeah, you
Oh,
said
hello.
it's missing something. So what's it missing?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. If you could listen for just a second, maybe I can tell you.
Yeah, you can
Perfect.
go
Take a
straight to
short
the
talk
point
your
if
way
you
out of not
want.
answering.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you for listening. What I'm trying to say is it's missing statistical significance.
Okay, give an
So
example.
you're saying the data set is too small.
Oh, I'm glad you have some semblance of an understanding of significance. Yes, that is part of the problem, but statistical significance
Okay,
is
so what's
actually
missing?
much greater than just the data set size. It actually
what's
has to
missing?
attribute to the confidence the confidence
What are you
interval
looking
you can
for that's missing? So I can point you in the right direction.
So you're saying that
You need
these
two
results are basically due to a random chance rather than it being a true effect.
So there's
Because we don't
yeah,
have
actually
enough data
no,
set.
you're right. You're right. You reminded me. There's three things that are being missed. The first one is data set size, which I'm sure you can refer to me to tons of data.
Yeah, how
The
big would you like it?
The second one is going to be exactly as you said. What is the percentage chance, right, that this data is actually viable? And that brings us to the third, and that's actually the experimentation strategy, along with the bias
It's
of
not an
the
experiment.
people doing. Okay, sorry, the observations,
Yes.
right? And so that's what I'm trying to get across to you. And
Right.
actually, to be
So
frank,
go with that. Okay.
maybe some of the disconnect we have
Wait,
here
dude,
is that
stop.
you keep talking about
Okay.
observation, and observation is all well and good,
Awesome.
but I'm
So
actually
critique
really
the
curious.
method. Critique the
Sorry,
method then.
I'm having
Critique the method.
I'm having trouble.
Yeah,
You keep talking
critique
over
the
me.
method. Yeah,
Yeah,
critique
and
the
so
method
that's
then.
what I'm about to do. If you could listen for just a second,
Right.
I know you're really
Go
gung ho
ahead.
to get into
Critique
this.
the method, yeah.
So your method of observation, to me at
No,
least, and so
critique the
obviously
method of the observation.
sorry. Are you able to listen to me for just a second?
Yeah, I'm asking you questions. I'm asking you to clarify something.
Yeah. You're asking it multiple times, and I heard you the first time. You're not cutting out now. I haven't
Yeah,
told
because
you
you're
you're
not
cutting out
answering,
since
yeah.
way back. Oh, yeah. It's hard to answer when you talk over me.
Answer the question. Jesus.
Yeah.
Quit whining.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to whine. I'm just trying to tell you to please
Yeah.
quiet down so I can
Okay, so
answer the question. Can
what's
you do
wrong
that?
with the method?
There isn't methodology in
Okay, what's
observation
wrong with it?
when it comes
What would you like to
to.
see?
I would like to see an experiment.
Okay, how do you do an experiment in this?
Fantastic question. To do
What's
an
the
experiment,
observation?
we need a hypothesis, and we actually
Oh, you
also
need
need a
an
null
observation.
hypothesis. Oh,
You need an
sorry?
observation. What's the first step of the
So actually,
scientific method?
before we even make any
Yeah.
observations,
What's the
it's
first
really
step of the
paramount.
scientific method?
Exactly, yeah. Come
Yeah,
up
what
with
is
a
it?
hypothesis, and we
And
come
what's
up
the
with a null
first step?
hypothesis.
What's the first step?
Sorry? All right, do you have a first step in mind you'd like to chime in with? Please
No, I'm
enlighten me.
asking.
I mean,
What's
you're
your
talking
first
about a
step in
scientific
the?
experiment, but
Say
do you
that
know what are the
again. That
steps?
was fucking
Do
funny.
you know what are the steps of the scientific method?
You guys are talking over each other. Can't really tell what's going
That's
on.
You
all
got
right.
one in
We
I
mind?
said
we know
you're the
what's
one
going on.
talking about an experiment. So do you know what are the steps on in the scientific method?
That's what I just began with, right?
What was your first
Is
step?
so in experimental design, we need to come up with what the variables are. We need to come up with the controls, and then we need to
What
come up
is
with
the
a
first step?
hypothesis.
Jesus Christ. We're asking you what is the first step, not what is the nicks and necks.
If you guys would stop talking over me, I
Yeah,
would
but I just
love
asked
to
you that and
explain
you started
science to
talking
you.
about
I
actually what
really
is the
enjoy.
first
I enjoy trying to educate people. I think
I understand, but
it's
you're
really
not
valuable.
educating anything if you're
You're
not
doing a
actually
bad
explaining
job.
what you're.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you tell
And
me
that's what I'm learning, right?
without just one answer question? What is the first step of the scientific method?
let's start for you. Let's start with the hypothesis, okay? If your
That
hypothesis
is not
is
the
the
first
Earth is
step of the
flat,
scientific method.
What's the hypothesis based on?
That
This
is
is
not the
retarded.
first step. Hold on. That is not the
okay,
first step of the scientific
what is
method.
it? What is it, Elbow TV? Please.
I mean, I thought you knew what an experiment was.
Oh, so you don't know what it is? You
Oh, I
claim
know
I
what
don't
it
know what
is.
it is. But you
I 100% know
oh,
what it is.
please enlighten me. Don't gatekeep. Come on now.
The first step of the scientific method is observe a natural phenomena.
That's wrong.
No, it's not wrong.
Yeah, it's okay. It's subjective. If that's what he wants to do first,
No,
he
it's
can do
not
it.
subjective.
No, it's literally the scientific method. You could look it up.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I can also look up if the Earth is a flat or a globe, and it'll say something very specific that you probably don't want me to see, right?
Can you just say you don't know? Just say you don't know. I don't know the scientific method. Just say I don't know it. That's all I got to say.
I'm really sorry, but I'm not gonna say that because I think if we go toe to toe, you're not gonna like what happens.
Guys, it's fine.
Your
We
hypothesis
can.
is that the Earth is flat, no?
Toe to toe.
No,
Can we
because
go
it's
a
not a
little deeper?
question.
Elbow
It's not a
TV. Your
question for
hypothesis.
science. It's not
Elbow
a question
TV.
for science. It's direct measurements. However, you don't accept the data set. So there's many other measurements again that we can give. And the fact of the matter is that every day we view the Earth as flat and stationary. We utilize it as flat and stationary. We build on it as flat and stationary. We navigate it as flat and stationary.
Wait, did you say
And it's measured.
stationary?
And it's measured to be flat. It's measured to be flat. Yeah, we measure everything off of a mean sea level
Okay, and
of the
so
globe.
this is just out of ignorance from my part. If the Earth is flat and stationary, is it the center of the universe then? I don't know.
Looks to
Well,
be that way.
it actually does appear to be that way. Yeah, and even modern day science will
I
tell you
don't
that
know.
it appears.
But we don't make claims
The
to
modern
things that
day,
we
hang
don't
on.
know.
Even modern day science says that it appears to be that way, that it's observer centric. However, they make the decision based on philosophical grounds that we can't be.
Yep.
And so, does the sun, I guess, move with respect to Earth?
What do you think? How does it look to you?
I just asked you
I'm
guys the
just gonna
question.
just
I don't.
I'm just gonna describe
I'm
to
asking
you.
because that's kind of a dumb question because if when you look at the sun, it's the sun appears to move. It goes from one place to another, not us.
Okay, and so, do you think that your observation is so good that you can just discern that the sun must be moving in comparison to us, as opposed to the alternative, or are you just talking about relativity?
No, we're just talking about the observation, but we don't make claims of what the sun is doing because we can't go out there and measure it and see what the heck is it doing. What we can do is actually focus on the earth that we are standing on and measure whether this earth is curving in any kind of way or if it's not.
Okay, and Elbow, have you done that?
I've done other things, but not actually measure the earth
Oh.
in that perspective. I mean, but there is observations that I could definitely deduct that it is because in everything that we do, we need the water always maintains practical level if it's still in all places. And they say that the earth is 70% water. We can't have a 70% flatness level water when the earth's supposed to be a sphere.
Yeah, and so I just kind of did this messing around. I don't even think this is a good argument. But have you seen how water acts in zero gravity?
Have you? Nobody has seen it. Have you gone to zero gravity to see how water acts?
Yes, I have.
Really? You've gone to zero gravity?
To be frank, you don't have to actually go into space to do it. You can quite literally
Oh, so
be
when water
falling.
when you're falling, okay. What does that have to do? So when you're falling, water does.
And actually,
It-
actually, now that I think about it, Elbow, thank you. You brought up a great point. What shape do raindrops take? Are they flat?
no, they're
Live in a
definitely not.
raindrop.
But when I said but I specifically said when it's still, right? When it's settled.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I think that we're moving with respect to the raindrop. The raindrop is still.
What's he talking about? You're saying that rivers and lakes and well, not rivers. Rivers are actually moving, but lakes and when the ocean is still, you're saying that those are moving.
So whenever a ship sails away from you in the ocean, why can't you see it indefinitely?
Now you're jumping to another
They're
case.
getting all over.
No. That's actually
Yeah.
directly with respect to
No,
the
it's
flatness
not.
of
That's a
still
non
water, as we're
sequitur.
talking about. Oh,
That's
the
a
non
non
sequitur.
sequitur.
Easy for you to say, right?
No, it
If
is
you
a non
don't want
sequitur
to
because
don't want to argue, call it a non
we're
sequitur.
talking about water does, and you want to go to what a ship is doing with an optical illusion.
Okay, let me try to explain it to you, just because maybe I didn't explain it well the first time. Let's think about something very, very flat. Let's think about a table. When you put something on a table and you slide it across the table away from you, you can see it from the close side of the table, and you can also see it from the far side of the table. Let's think about a giant table, a table that's miles and miles long. As you slide
Like the
this
ocean?
object further and further away,
Yeah,
it might be hard to see, but with let's say a telescope or binoculars, you should feasibly be able to see it, right? And so
Until it goes over the physical
if you put
horizon,
a
right?
quarter, there's actually some people have done this already, and I've actually tried this on a table. Actually, not on the table. It was a long flat location. When you put a quarter and you move it out away from your view, it starts to feel like it starts to look like it's disappearing because the angle of view. But again,
I'm concerned when you said
you
you
could
did it on a
definitely
long
do
flat
this.
area, you did it on Earth.
Yeah. Again.
That'd
Again.
be funny. But I guess what I'm trying to get across to you, Elbow, is let's say in a world where you make the flat surface, so you can prove that it's flat, you're saying it would still disappear, right?
Can somebody put that video on the side chat? Because we've done this. We've seen a quarter that appears to go underneath a flat surface. By the way,
He could just go eye
Regardless of
level with
that,
the table. Grab a
regardless of
quarter,
that,
go eye
items are
level with
going
the
to
table.
It's hard because
items can
you guys
definitely
are
disappear, guys.
yeah.
Objects can definitely disappear bottom up on a flat surface as well as a curved surface, so it's evidence of nothing.
Yeah, and so I guess maybe I'll leave it this. I'll give you guys this, but I'll leave you with a thought-provoking question. When a magician pulls a rabbit out of their hat, and you observe that, do you decide that rabbits come out of hats? Like, is that like? Do you see what I'm kind of getting at here?
it's funny
That's
because
what
the
Globers do with
magicians
refraction,
the magician is the magic is the globe. What you
right?
experience daily, day to day,
Well,
is a flat. This is an axiom. You can the Earth is planar and stationary, but they tell you no, you're not planar and stationary. You're actually moving. The Earth is actually a ball, even though you see a flat horizon.
according to you, you can't argue for the globe either then, because it doesn't matter what measurements, experiments, etc. are done, because they're all observations, so we can't really know anything.
Yeah, and actually, I would say that's the smartest thing you've said just yet.
I think that the magician is pulling refraction out of their hat, so that would be the Globers, no?
Mm.
And real quick, they
But
got you so good that you're here fighting for it with no proof.
yeah. But yeah, no, I love how you guys argue about this. So I apologize. I know I can come across as a little bit rude, and I cause some friction sometimes because I get passionate about some of these things. But I love arguing with people about this stuff, and it's really fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as me.
All you did was interrupt my work, but anyway, thank you for the discussion.
Sorry, AJ. I'll try to talk to that other guy. I really like, what's his name again? Too. I added him as a friend. DJ. Yeah, DJ is a cool guy. I'll try to talk to him instead of you next time, just so I don't interrupt your work.
That's all good, bro. I'll just
Yeah.
I'm off track now.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.
See you, side boy.